local marijuana dispensary is facing closure due to a recreational sales ban, you guys. That's right. The manager of a Hubbard medical marijuana dispensary is worried it could close within the next few months due to a ban on adult use sales within the city limits. Dustin Critties pleaded with Hubbard City Council on Monday evening to overturn the city's moratorium on adult use cannabis dispensaries. In a quote, "With medical sales down after already reducing our store hours, we're not sure we'll be able to keep the store open until November's election," Crites said. Crites operates the ACA dispensary on East Liberty Street, and his medical marijuana facility has been in operation since December, but he's worried it won't be open for much longer. In a quote, "It's definitely hurting our business to be able to stay open at the moment. We're going to fight and claw as hard as we can to be here until that vote," he said. The issue will be on the ballot in November in their November's election, and the ACA is already state approved for a dual-use license. However, Crites wanted the council to grant them the ability to use it so they could prove to voters that there would be no issues. Third Ward Councilman Michael Mogg got up and spoke in their favor and, in quote, says, "I would like to ask all members of council to consider the decision that we made back in June. There is a member of this community that has been here for a year, as you stated, and was asking for our help," Mogg said. Crites added that Hubbard community members are driving to Warren and Youngstown to purchase adult-use marijuana and argued the city is missing out on tax revenue by continuing the ban. He forgot to mention the whole state of Michigan, too, but nonetheless. In a quote, "The amount of revenue that could be brought in from adult-use sales, it's way above what we could bring in from medical sales," Crites said. And members of the cannabis industry, including nearby growing facility Riviera Creek and Cleveland School of Cannabis instructor, also wanted to address common concerns around legalization. In a quote, "This isn't for children. This is a 21 and over thing, much like alcohol is 21 and over. It's extremely difficult to buy legal cannabis," said B.C. Wyman Lighthouse, who is the sciences director. And Councilman Mogg asked his colleagues to consider holding a special meeting next week. Until then, the ACA dispensary wants to hold on, but Crites said if the vote fails, he'll be forced to pack up and move his business, you guys. Well, these municipalities, this local control really puts a jam in a lot of things for a lot of people. And I've gone through a similar situation with local control with them not wanting to allow adult use sales. And I'll tell you what, it can definitely hinder your entire business. And so I feel for this guy. But nonetheless, this is what's happening in Ohio, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Will Nick Lachey be to the rescue, Rico, on this? What do you think?
I think whoever's dog is barking should mute up while Jason's reporting the news. And speaking of barking dogs, I'll tell you what I think. I think that this is another example of where local control, which is allowed to be more restrictive than state law, creates these pockets of inopportunity, lack of opportunity, a bastardization of the will of the voter. The fact that this is allowed at a state level and this person is fighting locally to be able to be approved to be dual use, both medical and adult use, and has only been open since last December. I mean, how do you run a business that way? How do you take on capital? How do you provide a stable opportunity for your employees, your business partners, your investors, if you got to go grovel before a city council to do something that the state has already said is allowed?
You know, just to push back a little bit on that, Yarrow, one of these things that they'll say is that before adult use sales came in, your business was operating fine and you weren't complaining about these things. And you're not complaining until now all of a sudden adult use sales kicked in. Are you complaining about you don't have enough money to operate your business now?
Well, he's complaining about not having equal opportunity to take advantage of those changes in laws, and I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem for the industry. I think it's a problem for the industry just being treated like a business, and it's a problem for Ohio because they've been doing more right than wrong, and this is not, unfortunately, an example of that.
Right. I mean, just because they legalize or they pass the law or the ordinances are being approved or created, I mean, you have to still, wait for the time it takes for the bureaucracy to move forward, which is painstakingly slow in every single case. Even pro-cannabis municipalities take, the time they take because we have a certain system which our government works. It's good and it's bad. And we all know at the bottom of it, at the core of it, is corruption, is the broken, empty promises from politicians to business owners to community members.
Always.
It's sad. It's sad, but are we really surprised? No. So, just keep going. Look, everyone that's getting in this business needs to understand one thing. Whatever timeline you have, add at least 6 months to it, and then maybe you're going to probably be in the right time frame. But it's sad because it's always going to crush the ones with the most desire, with the most will, with the strongest souls and hearts, and it just disenfranchises them the first. So
I would say 6 months minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah. Bodie Uncut says just make that 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not really a punchline either.
No, it's a gut punch because the slowness of entitlements has been one of the biggest bleeding factors of this industry, taking years to get stores open. It means that even if the regs are reasonable, the timelines aren't. And a lot of times people are burning through costs associated with holding real estate.
It's big. It's a big problem. That's very.
Well, Yarrow, when have the regs ever been reasonable?
Well, I think there's a difference between the reasonableness of regs on paper and the unreasonableness with how long it takes to execute. And I would just use my brother and sister in Mendocino County as an example. Here you've got one of the 58 counties in California, arguably part of the epicenter of the Emerald Triangle, and they had a less than 10% processing rate on their permits over years, such that they were actually taken under receivership by the state to process those permits. And so separate from whether I agreed with their rules and regs, if you can't process the permits and give people the baton to go out and run that foot race, which is scaling and building their business, then even whatever is on paper doesn't matter because you never gave them a real chance. And so do I think the regs are reasonable? Some places I think they're incredibly reasonable. I think some of the regs are reasonable. I don't think the tax component has been reasonable anywhere, but some of it does make sense. I think that some of these zoning considerations have been very thoughtful and really trying to support the industry while also being mindful of residential neighborhoods and what businesses might be compatible.
Yarrow, you do bring up an interesting thing, and a lot of this does come down to their zoning requirements and whatnot. But the thing about it is this: is if you're allowing for medical use sales, there's no difference in commerce from a medical use sale to an adult use sale. There's absolutely zero. It's all the same exact action, right. Same exact everything. And so why these communities would say, oh, we only want to allow for medical sales and not for adult use sales, you're just basically shooting yourself in the foot, and you're damaging the community, and you're basically are enriching the illicit market in your neighborhoods.
It's an ability to say, we gave you a chance. It's the ability to say, we gave you a chance. We set up a set of regs, but then, we stepped on your neck and we didn't give you a chance to actually run a business.
What are you going to say, Jenny?
There is a change, Jason, and there is a change, Jason, and the change is that
it's all the same thing. You're selling weed over the counter.
Jesus Christ!
There's no difference.
Look at the receipt from a recreational.
There's a difference in the amount of taxes you pay, but the same transaction is the same thing. You're pulling at straws right now.
Stop, Jason. Stop. Respectfully, please stop. God bless. The municipality is cutting their own throat by cutting off tax revenue that they could use for community improvement. They're actually doing themselves a disservice by allowing, and I get it, it's for these people who are not in my backyard. Okay, if you need it for cancer, for grandma, fine, but you can't go smoke a joint after work. Those people are cutting their own noses to spite their face by cutting off revenue that could be brought into their community. God bless. That could have gotten out real quick.
Sure.
Let's have a moment of silence for prayer. Let's have a moment of prayer for Jenny Beth.
Jenny, your mic needs.
Christ.
Yeah, you are way low today, Jenny.
Yeah, it's like it's
way low.
Choppy.
Yeah,
choppy girl.
And it's even harder when you speak over me.
Oh man, oh, life's so rough today. Life's so rough.
I know.
Mhm.